Hi, I'm Mark Cleghorn and welcome to Pose-Tober on the Photographer Academy, and we're looking at boudoir photography and how you can add different ideas into your session to either spice it up or just to add more variety. So every day on the Academy, we're adding one new image in for you, and you can check up here on our YouTube channel to kind of see the same content, but obviously our members get it ahead of time. But the Pose-Tober series is focused obviously on boudoir photography and their kind of how-to, so I'll explain the poses step by step. We can also look at why to add them in perhaps into your sessions to add that variety. But I'm sure that during the 31 ideas that we're giving you during the course of the month, you're going to be able to take it away, whether it's classic, creative, different moods and styles, different body shapes. You'll be able to actually add in the different kind of styles, as I said. So my last pose, number 28 in week 4, as it were, is the Drunken Maiden. I've got to be honest, I've got no idea where this name came from. I've heard it somewhere and thought it absolutely typifies this kind of pose that you try and do. Anyway, to the words first. Allow the subject's head to come over the bed, so drop into the floor slightly, allowing their hair to really drop down as well. And use the hands in the hair to add the kind of the sexuality euphoria to kind of really add to the mood. I've got to say, to begin with, this can be a very dizzy pose. If you're holding the client down there too long, it can actually feel a little bit fuzzy in the head. So make sure you don't hold this pose for long and they can get to it. If you kind of drop the body off the bed too far, it can kind of almost need to just fall to the floor. So I like to actually just bring the one shoulder over the side of the bed, drop in the actual head and the neck so that naturally bends backwards. And then I'm using the legs as the kind of the balance and the solidness of the weight on the bed, so the client doesn't feel they're going to fall backwards. So to get them into this pose, it's either going to be easier to kind of just allow them to push themselves backwards all the time until their head is over the edge of the bed, and then the one shoulder as such. So notice how they're at a slight angle here, because that helps the kind of the one arm or the one shoulder stay on the bed for good balance. The hard part, in fact, is getting up from this pose. So we usually roll back towards the bed, so rolling towards the shoulder, but sometimes the client does need a little bit of help. Back to the pose. So once they've kind of positioned themselves where they're leaning backwards, make sure they're getting to kind of spread out the hair and kind of push it back more and more. I use the front knee as high as we can, and they can just touch their foot on the bed then with the toe, but the leg that is almost out of shot in the background, you can see that is in a kind of a knee bent pose, but the foot is stretching right down the bed. That's for the balance and to give us this lovely kind of triangular shape as the one leg goes across the other as such. This is good, in fact, for a nude image, an implied image, as well as obviously a client of all shapes and sizes. The only thing is, it's not about the shape and the size of the client, it's about the flexibility of the client. So when we're trying to do this, make sure that you start first of all with the same pose, but with the actual head on the bed and just allowing the hair to drop down first. And then as your second part of the pose, get them to push backwards so they're leaning off. So the Drunken Maiden, pose 28, allowing the subject's head to come over the bed, so drop into the floor slightly. That's the hair, not the body. Use the hands in the hair to add the sensuality and this euphoria element, and it really works well, as you can see, with the eyes closed. If you'd like to see some more content on the Photographer Academy, simply go over to thephotographeracademy.com, and if it's boudoir photography you're interested in, just scroll onto portrait, then kind of scroll down to boudoir, click onto that, and you'll see a whole host of different kind of topics for you to actually click onto, and any of the orange banners then takes you to the pages where you can actually follow that through to see more of our content.